Dylan Hollis. Mr. Hollis, I now invite you to address the graduates. All yours.
Thank you. Thank you most kindly, and thank you for the opportunity to be before all of you today. And your family, friends, faculty, honored and honorable guests. Though I must stress that any and all applause should not be directed up here, but rather directed at and to and for you, as this is a day that shines just for you, not only for pomp and circumstance, but because you've taken the necessary steps to enhance your future. Yes, while you've completed your coursework and your homework and the many trials that Bermuda College has thrown at you, I can guarantee that we all recognize the greater sacrifice that you have made to set yourselves on the path to success. I can tell you that your teachers and professors not only see what you've achieved, but what you've given up to be seated where you are today. You could have been working, you could have been playing around more, you could have been spending the time that you would have wanted to spend in your own way. But instead, you elected to decline the comforts of the present for the betterment of yourself in the future. 10, 20, 30 years from now, any furtherment that you will accomplish will be inextricably linked to today. And your elders will be nodding your head when I say that that's what this is all about. You see, the seemingly strange use of the word commencement as this final event in your studies here is indicative of the fact that this is but the beginning of your lives. Now, I'm no elder, and you might ask why I have any right to give you advice at all. And I don't. When I excitedly told my granny that I'd been asked to be the commencement speaker, she said, "Oh boy, it must have been slim pickings this year." I'm no shining star of education. I was so smart that Work Academy asked me to do my Year 7 studies twice. And I was able to condense my 4-year bachelor's degree down into 8. But it's the point that with my own struggles, difficulties, disadvantages, and our own difficulties, which we encounter when it comes to earning an education, the point is that we've done it, and that's what matters, which sounds cliche, but things are cliche for a very important reason. Importantly, I do want to stress that this will go by in a flash. So if you might just take a moment to pause, scan those who are seated beside you, and take it all in, because soon you will just be remembering this day. And right now you can live it. And very few of us can say that we're in the prime of our lives as you all are in now. I like to think of today as being given the keys to a fancy new car. We all like cars. I do, at least. And depending on what it is that you've studied, it might be a truck, a fancy truck designed to not drop the microphone on the podium. A fancy truck to haul around all that which you have learned to better your island and make better microphone stands. How's that? Hi. Yeah, it might be a fancy truck that you've received the keys for. With all of your skills to help improve the betterment of our people and keep our island going. Or you might have been given the keys to a motorcycle, which will be driven at or below the speed limit so that you can weave and carve your own path through this ever-changing world. But, especially in Bermuda, like any vehicle, if left to sit at this point, it will rust, its tires will flatten, and like anyone who's tried to start a lawnmower, after a few years, that gas will foul. And you'll have to put a lot of work in to get that vehicle operational. And right now, you've got a hot oven, you've got all of your ingredients to bake your cassava pie, though I might ask why you'd be doing it in May. But it's of no use, all that which you've learned, if you have a cold oven, huh? So, this is a bit morbid, but it's important to strike while the iron's hot. Seize the day, take that trip, make some money, see the world as far as the US, the United Kingdom, even as far as China, or over in St. David's. Now, this day isn't about me, really. It's all about you, so I won't take up much of your time. But I do have 5 pieces of advice. And that's pieces of advice that I often cite as helping me open the doors that I wasn't able to open because I have very small arms and I'm quite weak. So my first piece of advice, which is similar to the advice that I just gave you, which is just beware of just how damaging it is to be idle. I'll tell you about my old professor. I had an old professor in college at the University of Wyoming. It's a cowboy state in the United States. He was a very large man. He was a former sheriff, and he had a very large mustache to boot. And behind his desk, every time I would see him, there was a clock. But the clock had all of its numbers taped over. I said, "That's a very useful clock, Professor." But affixed to its face were the words, "It's later than you think." And we can easily tell ourselves that we will have our fun, that we'll see the world when we're a millionaire. But imagine how much fun we'll have in our old rocking chair. So that's one thing. Yeah, just do the things that you're wanting to do now. Don't wait until tomorrow, because I can tell you my past 10 years, as I approach 30, went by in the amount of time it took me to turn 17 to 18. Number 2 is to expect disappointment, but to not be dissuaded by it. Disappointment is merely the manifestation of the fact that you had applied an expectation to life, that you had tried something, that you had applied yourself, and that is forward motion. I would say that you should be worried if you never encounter disappointment, because it might be the fact that you aren't doing much. Disappointment is important, and I've come to learn that the most important lessons that I've learned initially felt like an attack, felt uncomfortable. But those are the things that make us change our ways for the better. Number 3, it's a practical piece of advice, and it's rather simple. If you are so lucky to still have any of your grandparents, call them often and visit them often. That's very important. And the unfortunate part about this wonderful time in your lives is that it normally coincides with not understanding just how much grandparents mean to us. And later on, then you'll be wanting that. So, number 4 is to write letters. You said, "Who child is this? Walk up on the stage telling me to write a letter." It's very difficult to distinguish yourselves in an ever-changing world, right? It's where everyone's online. It's very difficult to put yourself in a light that sets you apart from your competitors. Writing a letter, whether it's professional, whether it's even just in a recreational realm, it makes such a difference that you will immediately stand out with little effort. So, whether you're inquiring about a job, a promotion, most anything, writing letters. And number 5 is to do all things with a smile. Again, a cliche point, you must think me the fool, but I'm dead serious. It's a cheat code in life. Everyone who is successful, you can ask the head of this college, you can ask our honorable premier, you can ask the governor, the consulate. Smiling is a cheat code to get that which you want and to be successful. It's so simple, and advice isn't given, but I said, you know how dense I am, and if any of you have seen my content, 1, I'm very sorry, and 2, it is only because I smile. The rest is luck, huh? And it's not advice from me. The great thing about advice is that it's passed on. All that which is learned, all that which is learned, is acquired by those before us. So it gets filtered down. And I learned that last piece of advice from the great Hubert Smith and his Coral Islanders. In 1959, he produced a record on the Bermuda Record Company. It's a little 45 RPM with a pink label. And one of his songs before he was known for Bermuda is Another World was a song by the name of It Doesn't Hurt to Be Friendly. With the lyrics, it doesn't hurt to be friendly, it doesn't hurt to be nice, whether living in a city or on an isle of paradise. And today, seated where you are, take in the fact that you are new graduates on this isle of paradise. And as you lay your head to rest this evening, know that the change you want to see in Bermuda 40 years from now can be enacted come first light. So congratulations to all of you, and thank you again for your time.